What if I told you there's a country just north of our border where healthcare won't drain your wallet, the crime rates are lower, housing can actually be affordable, and the people speak your language? Nope, I'm not talking about Florida. I'm talking about Canada. Today, I'll share 7 surprising reasons why Americans are flocking to Canada for retirement, and why it just might be the retirement haven you've been looking for. Welcome back to Retire Without Borders, the channel where I explore the smartest, safest, and the most affordable places to retire around the world. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I drop new retirement abroad guides all the time. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know if Canada is the right fit for your lifestyle, your health, and your wallet. Here's the first reason you may want to look at Canada. What's the one thing we retirees care about the most? Cost of living. While Canada isn't the cheapest country in the world, it can be surprisingly affordable compared to many US cities. Take Halifax or Moncton, where a 1-bedroom apartment rents for about $1,200 a month. Compare that to $2,500 a month or more in cities like Boston or San Francisco. Even mid-sized Canadian cities often have lower rents and lower real estate prices than their US counterparts. Daily expenses, like groceries, transportation, and utilities, tend to be close to US prices. But here's the kicker. You're not shelling out thousands every year for private healthcare coverage. That's where Canada quietly saves retirees the most. Keep that thought. I'll get to healthcare in a bit. So, can you actually move and live here as a US citizen? Canada doesn't have a retirement-specific visa, but there are pathways. US retirees must qualify through general immigration pathways or use temporary visits. Some retirees apply for permanent residency through family sponsorship, while others qualify through investment or skilled worker programs. Another option is the super visa, which allows extended stays if you have family in Canada. And, as a US citizen, crossing the border for long visits is incredibly simple, especially when compared to moving halfway across the world. In case you're curious, you can check out my video on retiring in South Africa by clicking the link above. As a US citizen, you can spend up to 6 months at a time in Canada as a visitor, often without prior application. However, you'll need to leave the country at the end of that period. Under this plan, you won't have Canadian health insurance. You will need private or international health insurance if you stay for long periods. Residency isn't instantaneous or a given, but the stability and long-term benefits can be worth the effort. There is also a thing called a parents and grandparents super visa. If you have a child or grandchild who is a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, you may qualify for a super visa, which allows stays of up to 5 years per entry without renewing. Also, there are permanent residency pathways available. To live in Canada permanently, retirees need to qualify for permanent residency, PR, via existing immigration programs. First is the family sponsorship. If you have a close family member, like a spouse, child, or parent, in Canada eligible to sponsor you, they can apply for your permanent residency on your behalf. Then there are the economic programs. These are designed for skilled workers to come into the country. They are points-based and often favor younger applicants, making them less accessible for many retirees. But you can always try and see if you get anywhere, especially if you have a valuable skill to offer. So, what does permanent residency mean for you anyway? Well, this is the so-called golden ticket to enjoying the benefits of the Canadian system. Once you obtain permanent residency status, you're entitled to live, work, and access provincial health care in Canada. You'll receive a permanent resident card, also called a maple leaf card because, well, you know. This card is typically valid for 5 years and used as proof of residency, as well as for re-entry purposes at border crossings, such as here in Niagara. Finally, after living in Canada for 1,095 days, that's about 3 years, within a 5-year period, you may apply for Canadian citizenship. Now keep in mind that as a US citizen living overseas, you must continue filing a US tax return annually, even if you are living abroad. Also, if you are deemed a Canadian resident for tax purposes, you'll also need to file Canadian returns. Don't worry though, there is a US-Canada tax treaty which helps you avoid double taxation. Keep in mind, only permanent residents have access to public health care. Here's my recommendation. If you are staying part-time, consider alternating between US winters in nice sunny locations like Los Angeles and Canadian summers in picturesque towns. That way you can keep using the visitor status. If you are aiming to live permanently, you'll want to explore the family sponsorship if possible. If that's not an option, you may still investigate economic PR programs, but your chances may be limited due to age-related scoring. Let me know in the comments what you feel is most appropriate. Now, coming from the United States, with our complete mess of healthcare, this one is huge for retirees. In Canada, residents enjoy universal healthcare. What that means is doctor visits and hospital stays are covered. There are no monthly premiums like Medicare Part B. There are no surprise bills after a hospital visit. Sure, wait times can be longer for elective procedures, but retirees consistently say the peace of mind is priceless. Imagine walking into a doctor's office without worrying about whether you can afford it. That's a massive weight off your shoulders. And for Americans who've struggled with high premiums and copays, this is often the single biggest reason to consider moving north. The only thing to keep in mind is you must become a Canadian resident before you get that magic healthcare. Now, being a resident means you live there, right? So, where are the most Americans retiring in Canada anyway? Well, one of the most popular destinations is Victoria, British Columbia, known for its mild climate, walkable neighborhoods, and vibrant arts scene. Located on Vancouver Island, north of Seattle, it offers easy access to nature and top-tier medical care, making it a favorite among retirees who value both culture and comfort. Oh, and they have a ton of orcas you can watch off the coast. I've visited Victoria Island several times and absolutely love the area. Yeah, I know it rains a lot, but it is green and beautiful. Nearby, Brentwood Bay provides a quieter alternative with forested views and ocean access, ideal for those seeking a more secluded yet well-connected lifestyle. On the east, there's Niagara-on-the-Lake in Ontario. Niagara-on-the-Lake stands out for its historic charm and proximity to the US border. Yes, you're 15 miles away from Niagara Falls. This picturesque town is nestled in wine country and offers a blend of elegance, safety, and convenience. Further east, Prince Edward County has become a haven for creative retirees, with its boutique wineries, art galleries, and growing expat community. Its rural charm and affordability make it especially appealing to those looking to downsize or embrace a slower pace. For retirees craving coastal serenity, Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, delivers with its strong sense of community, low cost of living, and peaceful atmosphere. It's perfect for those who want to immerse themselves in small-town life, while enjoying the natural beauty of Canada's eastern shores. Each of these locations offers a unique flavor of Canadian living, making it easy for American expats to find a place that feels like home. Reason number 4, safety and security. Here's something many people overlook. Canada is consistently ranked one of the safest countries in the world. Violent crime rates are much lower than in the US, and retirees report feeling safer walking at night. This is true in small towns and even in big cities. In the 2025 Global Safety Rankings by Berkshire Hathaway Travel Protection, Canada placed 3rd in the world, just behind Iceland and Australia. This high ranking reflects Canada's emphasis on public safety, healthcare access, and community trust in law enforcement. Compared to countries like the United States, Canada benefits from stricter gun laws, lower homicide rates, and more robust social programs that reduce economic stress and crime. For example, Canada's homicide rate in 2024 was 1.91 per 100,000 people, while the US rate was more than triple that at 5.9 per 100,000. Canada also scores well on the Global Peace Index, placing ahead of countries like Germany, Japan, and the UK in political stability. And you've got a retirement destination where peace of mind extends far beyond finances. Some of the safest and most retiree-friendly areas include Victoria, British Columbia, which I've already mentioned. Charlottetown on Prince Edward Island is also known for being extremely safe. In addition, it boasts a strong sense of community and scenic charm. Finally, there's Goderic, Ontario, often dubbed the prettiest town in Canada, with its tranquil lakeside setting and low population density. If you've watched my channel much, you know I focus on many countries. In several of them, English is not a primary language. I tell you that you would be best served if you learn at least some of the local language. I understand that for many retirees, moving abroad is intimidating because of this language barrier. This is not the case for you in Canada. In Canada, English is widely spoken everywhere, and in Quebec, you'll also hear French. A lot of French, giving you a taste of Europe without crossing the Atlantic. Canadians are famously friendly, and expats often find it easy to integrate into communities. You get the adventure of living abroad without the stress of not being understood. Now I'll go over reason number 6. This is taxes and finance. I hear you. I know that taxes are not everyone's favorite topic. The good news is, Canada and the US have a tax treaty, which prevents you from being double taxed on the same income. The Canada-United States Tax Treaty is a bilateral agreement designed to reduce tax barriers for individuals and businesses operating across both countries. It ensures that income earned in one country by a resident of the other isn't unfairly taxed twice, and it outlines clear rules for which country has the right to tax specific types of income, such as dividends, interest, pensions, royalties, and capital gains. That's a huge relief. If you're receiving Social Security, pensions, or investment income, you'll want to speak with a cross-border tax specialist. However, many retirees find their overall tax burden isn't much higher than in the States. Plus, factor in healthcare savings, and the balance often tips in Canada's favor. I know it sounds a bit complicated, but trust me, it will work in your favor. Finally, let's look at living in Canada. Reason number 7. I'll start by talking about lifestyle. Canada offers stunning natural beauty. I've seen the snow-capped mountains in British Columbia. On the East Coast, there are beautiful seaside villages in Nova Scotia, and Canada offers vibrant multicultural cities like Toronto and Vancouver. Even in the Midwest, yes, Canada has a Midwest. The plains are stunning and beautiful. They even have rodeos. I know winters can be cold, but the Canadian summers are gorgeous, and many retirees actually enjoy the change of seasons. Coming from California, I'm curious how I'd handle snow. I've only seen snow fall like 3 times in my life. Anyway, connectivity is strong, fast internet, reliable utilities infrastructure, except maybe in the far northern provinces, and major airports with direct flights to dozens of US cities. Daily living is familiar. Grocery stores, pharmacies, entertainment are all just like home, but with a Canadian twist. And perhaps the biggest surprise? Retirees often say they feel less rushed. The pace of life is calmer, communities feel tighter, and social programs ensure seniors don't fall through the cracks. It's not just about living cheaply, it's about living well. So, let's recap the 7 surprising reasons Americans are retiring in Canada. Canada has more affordable housing than in many US cities. Canada has realistic residency options for US retirees. Canada has universal healthcare available to you. Canada has safer communities than in many US sites. Canada has no language barrier in most places. And finally, Canada has fair tax treatment so your money stretches further and a lifestyle that balances nature, culture, and comfort. The big question you need to answer is, can you live here comfortably and affordably? For many retirees, the answer is yes. It's not the cheapest option out there, but the trade-off is stability, safety, and peace of mind. These are things you just can't put a price on. If this video helped you rethink retirement, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe for more guides on retiring abroad. And don't forget, download your free Canada Retirement Starter Pack in the description below. Until next time, safe travels, and let me know in the comments, If you were to retire in Canada, which city or province would you choose first? Watch this next video to find out the 5 best countries to retire in 2025. Some of them might surprise you.